All right, we are live. What's up, guys? For those you don't know, my name is Rick Ginn. I am the Rick in Flip with Rick. A lot of guys know Zach, and we come together on the Flip with Rick channel to basically share and teach with you guys on how to do wholesaling. And if you are brand new to wholesaling, actually today's topic's perfect for you. We're talking about probate for beginners. And full disclosure, I waited 7 years to actually attack probates. And honestly, it's not a regret. I just wish I started sooner. So I guess it is technically a regret. So if you guys are new to the channel, if you want to figure out how to do this, it's really easy. Just go over to freewholesaling.com. It should be slashing around like right down here. And we've created a course with 27 years total experience. And we not only teach you how to get your first deal, we teach you how to get you your first $100,000. Wholesaling is not simple. I find most gurus make it very complicated and have multiple courses you have to go through. And if you truly want to get the truth on how to do a deal and you want to get past that slick marketing message of like everything's perfect, I'll tell you how to do wholesaling, but in exchange, you actually have to do the work. So make sure you go over there. And guys, you have the comment section. Please use this side to introduce yourself. Let us know what market you're in. This is a great place to connect with people. I know a lot of you guys do business together. Full disclosure, make sure you vet everybody. I don't know everybody on the lives, but I know the regulars, the ones that do business and the ones that are busting their butt to get deals done. And then for you smart ones, you can go to Wholesaling Houses for Real. Click on today's video link, and there'll be a link there in StreamYard if you want to jump on a one-on-one. I do it basically on a first come, first serve basis. So you can go ahead and get in line now. You don't have to use video. It's okay. It doesn't matter to me. And remember, when you come on, is if you want to work on a deal or you want to work on solving a problem, if you want to come on here and vent, you can do it. But I can't fix people's attitudes towards wholesaling. So if you've decided wholesaling is too hard for you or something like that, you're probably right. And you probably just get out of it. I'm not a guru. I'm not here to like coach you along and coax you along, because a guru can motivate you, but like you need someone to actually teach you how to do discipline in this. So use the comments, use the one-on-one live there. I see everybody's. And then if you have a question, if you just want to even type it in, if it's related to wholesaling, like anything with me, I'll be happy to answer it. Just put it in there and we will go from there. So before we get started in wholesaling, before we do it, you guys know where I'm going with this, man. Like you have to pick up some energy, because like I'm here to tell you, other than the excitement of learning wholesaling, most people are brutally boring in teaching it. And honestly, I feel the same way. I know most of you guys do. So we try to make it as entertaining as possible, make it as fun. And I like to have a lot of energy when I do wholesaling. So let's do the intro. Guys, jump on it, dance, go crazy, because dude, you only get one life. Make the best of it. Let's go.
Get the fuck out of bed, bitch. Go. Get up, and get the guy go. Time to wake up, bitch. Get up. Get up. Get up.
Okay, so that's self-described, dude. I just love that video. So for the record, we have full permission from the creator of that video. And I like stuff like that, man. Like you got to break the day up. And if you're not having fun, please don't do it. Like that's my rule in wholesaling. I know it can be frustrating. I know it's got some learning curves on it, but honestly, you have a choice to come to wholesaling. Most of you are looking to wholesaling to escape some sort of financial or time burden in your life. And that's why I wind up in this. And I'm here to tell you it 100% accomplishes that. So let's get into it. Let's talk all about probates. Full disclosure, I've done a lot of probate deals. I haven't gone back and done a recent count, which I will probably finish up when I finish up with my accountant this next week. And it is a lot. Probably approaching 500. I know it's not 500, slightly under that. That's how many I've done. So they are my favorite deals, hands down. So let me get into the notes. So what we're going to do is talk about probates here, 20, 30 minutes, and then we're just going to jump on the live and have as many conversations as I possibly can. So I like to make this as interactive as possible. So if you guys can help answer questions and do stuff like that, that's how you actually learn. So let's jump into it. Let me see here. Oh, listen, guys, please make sure you're subscribed to this channel. It makes a huge difference. I know a lot of you guys watching, you're not subscribed. It makes a difference to YouTube and everybody else that's involved. And the more people that join our channel, the more people get aware that you don't have to get ripped off by gurus. We will actually help you out. So we're trying to get the movement going. You guys always ask, how can you help? Make sure you subscribe, and for God's sakes, smash the like button. It helps. I like likes. Who doesn't like likes, right? Likes don't define me. They just help me. That's how I look at it. So, okay, let's get into it. You guys know to go where to get the course, freewholesaling.com. So let's talk about probates. So before we get into probates, let me tell you the two reasons why probates are the perfect scenario for wholesaling. Number one, most of the houses are run down, if not outdated. So think about this. If you've ever had an elderly person in your family, I mean, we all go through it at some point. It sucks. Like, trust me, I don't like the stigma of the probate because it's not a fun subject. But the reality is, if you don't do it, somebody else is going to do it for you. And that's what I found out the hard way. So basically, most of these houses, when people get older or they're sick, they're going to concentrate on the quality of life. They don't care about the house. So the houses get outdated. Maybe grandma was in the house 40, 50 years and it looks like a time warp. That's my typical deal. Or the house is, they didn't quite fix the roof because it wasn't in the budget because they were taking care of their loved one. So you have to have a heart when dealing with probates. So most of them have a lot of deferred maintenance, a lot. And why is that important? Because it's very overwhelming to the person in charge of selling the house. And that's typically why they're going to reach out to some sort of cash offer, hence you and me and the wholesaling. The second reason why I love it and why it's perfect for wholesaling is predominantly these houses are vacant. And well, why is vacant important? Why? It makes it super, super easy to sell your contract because you can take buyers in and out of there. And honestly, you usually get very little resistance from the sellers. Now, I always ask for permission. I don't do anything. I don't assume I get permission. But having a vacant house and having one that needs repairs, if you can get those two criteria plus a motivated seller, they hands down are the best deals out there. On average, my probates have a 3 times profit of a typical assignment in my company. I know this. I have the stats for it. And it's not only in my market, it's predominantly across the entire country. It has at least a twofold effect. And when you get more advanced like me and you spend a lot of time negotiating with people, you can 3 times your profit level. And for those 2 reasons alone, they are perfect. The biggest challenge we have to deal with people on getting wholesale deals, sometimes there's not a lot of repairs need to be done to the house. They just want their money. And number 2, the home is occupied and it's very, very stressful to even take one cash buyer through that. Probates solves it all, like, completely. Now, the downside of probates, they take time. And they don't take time so much for the reasons you think they are, is probates, people have to go through a process. So the first thing you have to understand probates is you can't rush them, because every other investor and realtor wants a quick, decisive answer. You have to be the opposite. And I know that's contrary to what we teach at freewholesaling.com, but we do a special section in there just for probates. I'm telling you, dude, I never discuss price on my first phone call with them, ever. I don't care, because you're going to turn them off right away. And until you get a relationship with them and even qualify them, why even mess around with the price? So understanding the 2 reasons why they're perfect for wholesaling. I love probates. You're not doing probates, you're missing. Here's why most people fail at probates. You ready? They get super excited. They go get their list. They send out their letters. They cold call. And after 30 days, you know what they all say? Rick, it didn't work. Okay. Tell me how it didn't work. Well, I got 2 phone calls. That's it. I got 2 phone calls. And they weren't even close to qualified. Okay, quit. 95% of people quit probates in their first 30 days, and the other 5% quit within 60 or 90 days. That's the difference, guys. That's my big secret here. I'm telling you, you have to be extremely consistent. It's only 50, 60, 75 leads. And what I like to do is cold call and send a letter. And I'm going to go into detail. I know I'm jumping ahead here, but it's not complicated. And the other reason why you guys are so scared to do it is because you think probate's a very daunting task. So I'm here to tell you, it happens to everybody. Nobody is immune from it. So when somebody passed away and they own a property, it has to go through probate. There are exceptions to it. I'm not here to get into like the minor rules. So let's jump through. So the first thing to solve your problem, and this was my biggest hiccup, is I thought I had to know everything about probates. I need to understand them legally. I need to understand how to read the title, how to read the docket. And I'm here to tell you, don't even bother, because you're never going to figure it out. So here's what you do. You're going to assemble basically a team. And are you technically hiring the team? You're just networking with the team. So they don't cost you anything. So if you think it's going to cost you an arm and a leg, forget about it, because they only make money when you make money. So that's how a team is. A team either wins together or they lose together. So let's talk about your team. The team is simple. The first person on your team, which is the most overlooked one, is your local probate courthouse. Why? Because I didn't know a damn thing about probate until I sat in the court. I sat there 45 minutes 3 times, and I had a nice little old lady help me, and she walked me through the whole thing. And I got to tell you guys, without her help, it would have taken me years to figure this out. I didn't understand it. And remember, each courthouse does it a little bit differently, even in your own state. So they will drive you nuts. So it's very hard to scale probates. Like if I want to do 100 counties, I would have to have a massive team. So understanding that not everybody can jump in your county and do probates. So number one, your local courthouse, get to know the people there, and they will teach you, because number one, they're paid with our tax dollars. Number two, they're there all day. So you might as well get the benefit. And if you understand how it works, you can help solve a lot of issues on how to read the dockets, how to get the information. How do I not violate your privacy policy? I know it's public information. And guys, do that part, because a lot of you, step 2 on finding your team is you have to use a local title company. And I stress the word local, because if you're using one of these national title searches, it's going to be very difficult. I'm not saying you can't do it, but a local title company will explain how the probate works in your county and what pieces of paper need to be signed, notarized, and authorized by a judge or some sort of clerk to get your deal to the closing table. It is absolutely critical. They are just as important as the courthouse. Work with your local title company. Now, you want to find one that's investor friendly. If you don't know how to do it, just go to Flip with Rick and search in there how to interview a title company. I have some amazing videos on it. And honestly, I've spent more time with title companies than a lot of people. And there's just simple questions you ask. And if they don't answer the questions even remotely, just move on. So the title company is key, because I have to get documents pushed through lawyers to get the property to the closing line. And what I do is I talk to my title company. They are like instrumental. The third person on your team is either going to be a probate lawyer or a real estate attorney. Now, don't panic. I'm not telling you to go out and hire them and pay big money, but please don't waste their time, because they're not going to help you if there's never a promise or an inkling of getting business from them. So mostly lawyers will meet with you from 15 to 20 minutes for 100% free. But man, you got to be organized and ask the right questions. And here's a little cheat. Most title companies have some sort of affiliation or are owned by a real estate attorney. And then you can ask the title company who does the most amount of probate work with title on any of these properties, and they'll point you in the right direction. Now, keep in mind, the lawyer is giving you information based on the quality of questions you ask. If they're dumb questions, they're not going to take you seriously. And number two, if there's no promise of them ever being hired for a probate file, it's going to be a very short conversation. So I always try to help everybody on my team benefit. Now, the courthouse, unfortunately, they are tax paid employees. So I just try to make their lives easy. And then typically what I'll do is either bring them donuts or like some bagels or something like that. That's still a good way to stay in good faith with the title company. So guys, here's the key is you don't need to know everything about like probate. Stop trying to know everything because you're never going to do it. To this day, I had a question last night on a probate. I didn't know the answer. I had to work with my title company and they are working on it today. And actually, when I get off this live, I got to jump on that. So the days of trying to know everything about probate, you're wasting your time. You have one single job: to find sellers whose houses are in probate that want to sell their property. If you master that, the rest you use your team to help you out with. And I promise you, in a year or two, you're going to know 90% of everything that happens in probate, but you'll never know it all because I've been doing this 20 years and probate still shocks me to this day. Now, we'll talk about the time length and everything like that. So let's talk about the process to get started in probates. It's really not difficult. All you have to do to get started in probates is this simple thing. Just go get the leads. You're going to have to go down to your courthouse and pull the leads or request them online. Now, if you go in person, you're probably going to have a much better luck because you'll deal with a live staff member and it's hard for them to turn you down. Now, they're going to play games with you. I'm just going to forewarn you right now. You're going to get resistance. This is probably one of my number one complaints on here. And guys, I don't run these courthouses, but they are inundated with realtors and people trying to sell the list, wholesalers. It never stops. Data aggregators, and they're trying to put a stop to it. So all the information is public. That's not debate. The challenge is their privacy policy. And every courthouse has a different one. And for that reason, they're going to drive you nuts. You overcome resistance with persistence, and you have to kill them with niceness. You're not going to get anywhere shaking the FOIA stick. Freedom of Information Act, honestly, it's a bluff. And I actually regret teaching that method years ago because nobody takes you seriously anymore. So you have to kill them with kindness, and you got to just keep being persistent. It's really annoying. I know. If you can get over this hurdle, probates gets a lot easier. You have to get the leads. So there's only, in my opinion, there's only two ways to get the leads. You either go down in person or you get them online. Guys, do not get them from a third party. I'm not talking about using listrei.com, using the pre-probate method. That's completely different. That's a way you can do it, but that's a different type of technique. The best leads in probates are ones that are just freshly filed. And I get this question a lot. Rick, how often or how soon should I reach out to them? And I'm here to tell you, once they file that probate, they have made the emotional decision most likely to move forward with the property, and that's the best time to hit them. Now, a lot of you are super creative and hustlers, and I love it, but I'm not a big fan of calling off the obituaries. It's just too soon. Put yourself in their shoes. Do you want somebody calling you off an obituary? I would never give you the time of day if you called off of one of my family members with that. I would make sure I would never do business with you. So I look at calling off obituaries like spamming. It doesn't work. I love the idea, but I'm telling you, it doesn't work. And you are just going to piss people off when you do it. So please, please keep that in mind. So once they file the probate, you are open to communicate to them. So how do we connect with them? The best way, hands down, is to call them. Now, for the longest time, I was completely against calling people in probate. I thought it was animal chasing. I just let my ego and pride get in the way. And by not doing that, I lost a lot of deals to realtors. Like, they were really aggressive on the phones. And when my son joined my business, he says, Dad, I won't cold call him. He goes, I'll warm call them. I'm like, okay, I like that. And when he did that, we changed our whole perspective on how we do it. And I'm here to tell you, the fastest way to connect with is a cold call. It is an awkward conversation. You want to learn more how to do it, go over to freewholesaling.com. And I would love to, anybody who wants to role play, I'm happy to do that today, specifically on probates. But honestly, you just call them. And here's the secret, guys. I'm just an average Joe when I call them. I don't talk about the probate unless they want to go there. Simply see if they have interest in selling the house. And then I let them expand on it and go from there. Do not say, hey, I saw your house is in probate. You know, what's going on? Because you're just going to tick them off. So on top of calling them, I love to mail to them. It's cheap, it's fast, it's effective, and you control the printing in your own home. You just take, go over to freewholesaling.com. I teach everything. I actually have a probate letter template that I spent a lot of years testing out. I've done a lot of deals off of it, at least 300 plus on that letter alone. And it has a unique spin on it. And I'll share it at the end of this video here. But go ahead and check that out. It's over there. But the mailing to them. So if you look at it like McDonald's, Burger King approach, I do this all the time with you guys, but like in my perfect world, I'd get my fries from McDonald's and I'd get my Whopper, the burger from Burger King. Why? Because that's what I like. I find Burger King's, and guys, I don't eat fast. I eat fast food maybe 2-3 times a year, and I regret it every time I eat it. But anyways, what I'm saying is sometimes they will react to your phone call, and sometimes you piss them off so much a phone call, and then they get a letter and they respond. You get a lot of older people that like the respect of the letter, and it works very, very well. So here's a little hint. If you have your letters, copy what I do at freewholesaling.com and make sure you sign your name on the bottom in blue felt ink. I've tested this, guys. It is hands down. It just puts that personal touch on it that they're actually going to deal with a person. And guys, get rid of your fancy business names on these cards. If it's Richard Ginn buying the property, then I'm going to put people want to connect with you personally. They don't want to deal with like a big business. I'm just here to tell you. So mailing to them is very, very simple. You can do a mail merge and spit it out once or twice a week on how to do it. Now, you're doing the McDonald's Burger King approach. And here's another little trick. I often use different names on who's calling versus who's mailing. Why? Because if Zach Ginn called and pissed them off, the last thing they're going to do is respond to a letter from Zach Ginn. Now, might do Rick Ginn. I might do one like, I probably just do Rick Ginn and tell him my son's crazy, and that's how I did it for years. I'm like, yeah, I apologize. He's a little more aggressive. I'm different. We're two separate operations, and that's it. McDonald's, Burger King, it works very well. Now, when you get them on the phone, it's actually, here's the simplest way I can explain probates to a beginner. Just take your time. There is no time frame to call them. I've had people talk to me hours. And as long as there's a hint of motivation going through the MCTP, motivation, condition, timeline, and price, I will stay on the phone with them, because the more phone time you get, the better you connect with them, because you're rarely ever going to see these people in person. And it works really well when it comes to the final negotiation. So use the 80-20 rule. So the 80-20 rule simply says you let the seller, the representative, talk for 80% of the time, and you only talk 20. And make sure you have good quality questions on your 20. Why? Dude, here's the deal, dude. People love to talk about themselves, and you need to utilize that, because if you dominate the conversation, you get no information back. So using the 80-20 rule, and I want you to understand this, guys, the average time to get a contract on a probate is between touch 5 and 6. I never get them 1 through 4, ever. Why? Because I take my time, because I let all the other wholesalers try to run them over, and I just make it easy. Guys, do you realize death is an extremely stressful event? And the last thing you want to do is mimic that stress in a probate situation. So they tend to gravitate towards people that are listening to them, taking their time, and hearing out what they want to accomplish. If you can do that, you have a great shot at probates, even if you know nothing about them. Guys, I did one of my biggest probate deals when I knew nothing about doing it. All I knew is I needed to connect with people that own properties in some sort of probate process that are willing to sell. That's it. That's your job. Stop trying to learn everything. This is not high school. This is not college. And by the way, this is what will pay you. That other crap's not going to pay you anything. I'm almost done. And obviously, you get it under contract for the right price. I rarely ever miss on a probate, because you get a lot of information, and usually they're much more negotiable, in my opinion. And you got to get it at a discount price. And honestly, once you have it under contract, it's super easy after this. You don't have to do anything different than what I've taught you in normal wholesaling. In fact, if you have a vacant property that needs repairs and you got a good discount on it, this is actually the fun part, because here is the secret. Most probates take, on average, 90 to anywhere to like 180 days to get through, for one reason or another. It could be the judge, it could be the lawyer, it could be the real estate agent, whatever it is. But here's the luxury as a beginner you have to understand. If I get it under contract and then I'm just waiting for a judge to approve the final sale of the house, that could take a month up to 3 months. I use that time frame to my advantage. Why? I can bring 30 sellers through there, buyers through there if I want. I'm going to get the highest price, and I'm not even going to worry about it. So most of the beginners that start out in wholesaling, the biggest stressful point is, I've only got 2 weeks. I've only got 30 days to get this thing sold. And I get it. You have no cash buyers list, stuff like that. So imagine if you get a probate under contract and you don't have a cash buyers list, which is quite normal, by the way. You have plenty of time to find a buyer for that property. End of story. I don't even worry about it. I've actually waited up to 2 years for a probate, and I'm very creative in how I do the contracts because I tell them I can't sign the contract until the probate's approved within 30 days. That way I get the highest and best offer. So what I'm telling you is probates takes the stress of that ridiculous inspection period, because a lot of times you have anywhere from 60 to 180 days to sell it. And if you have a vacant property, guys, that is a dream. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, take full advantage of it, because I don't know any other types of leads that you get this luxury in. Actually, extremely rare. So when I have a probate, I am always super excited because I'm typically going to vacant. I know the rundown, and I know I'm not under extreme stress to sell it. And we always get the highest price. That's why I get triple the profit I get on a probate deal, because I can almost sell them like a retail deal on the MLS, because I have this one beautiful thing called the luxury of time. And if you understand that, it's great. So I told you I'd share the marketing strategy that has created phenomenal success for me in probate. So I don't hide this. And guys, I'm not putting this behind a $10,000 course like every guru does. I could easily do this. And if I followed the guru's method, you all would happily pay me. But I feel this information be free, and you guys should rightfully own it. So here's the little tip that I do. I basically say in a conversation, and I say in my probate letter, which is at freewholesaling.com, is, did you know you can sell your property before the probate process is complete? Give me a call. I can show you how. And boom. What I did is I create intrigue and curiosity with the seller. And a lot of times when I'm talking to the seller on the phone and they're being reserved, and say I want to meet them, maybe they're coming in town, I go, did you know you can sell the property before the probate's complete? And I just shut up. And they're like, and here's what they all say to me. You ready? My lawyer told me I had to wait till the probate's complete. I'm like, that's not really true. If you want to meet with me, I'll show you how. I don't tell them how to do it over the phone. I use it as leverage so I can get an appointment or either get a contract, because you do not have to wait till the probate's complete. It's a myth. And lawyers use that so they can control their clients and they can get the highest fees possible. I've proven it over and over again. You do not have to wait. It is 100% a lie. There are some technicalities in some states. I can't go into detail on every one of them now. Get familiar with your state probate laws and how it works. But I'm telling you, I've been told probably 1,000 times, I cannot do this. And I do it over and over again. And I have an entire database of probates I've closed where I was told you have to wait till the probate's complete. You know what I do is I talk to the attorneys, I talk to the title companies, I've even talked to judges. All you have to do is file a motion to sell the asset. It's different procedures in different states, but I'm here to tell you, a probate encompasses all the assets that the deceased has, and then they liquidate them. Obviously, real estate is usually people's number one biggest asset. And for that reason, it is a very draining asset, meaning you have to pay mortgage payments, insurance payments, tax payments. You have to do utility. You have to take care of the lawn. You got to shovel snow. It can become very draining. So the court system has designed for a way, if the PR, the personal representative or the executor, wants to liquidate the asset before the probate's done, they have the right to. Nobody ever tells them how to do it. And this is the key. We're going to show you how to do it. Now, I don't give instructions. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a title person. This is where I work with that probate team I told you about. And that's how I accomplished it. And by me learning this little skill, it allowed me to do in excess of 300 plus deals. I'm somewhere between 300 and 400. I know that. We don't do a ton of probates. If I could just do exclusively probates, you show a way that I can systematically do it, that's all I would do it. The reality, just so you know, you cannot systematically do probates all over the country because every county is different. And honestly, I used to do 5 counties. I'm down to 3. Sometimes I do 4. It's still a lot of work for our team to do it, but the profit is there and everybody gets paid, so we continue to do it. The only difference between me and most people is I'm just extremely consistent in doing it. I just don't stop. If you're going to do it for 30 days and quit, if you don't get a deal, don't do it. I will tell you, you have to commit 1 year to probates, because you only need one phone call to completely change your life for a $50,000 deal. But so many people have this wild expectation that if I do probates, I'm going to get hundreds and hundreds of deals a month. It's just a lie. Like, honestly, 2 to 5 calls a month. That's on average what we get per county. And then sometimes, ready for this, I go an entire month without doing a probate deal. I'm okay with it. I look at it for the entire year. So I always tell you, direct mail, you got to look at it at least 1 quarter. Probate, you have to do 1 year. Now, here's the good news is if you did 50 letters a month, see 50 times 12. Thank God they make a calculator because this is not, that's 600 letters, and say each letter cost you 75 cents. Okay. So the true cost to do this campaign, you can do an entire probate campaign under $500. Nobody has an excuse not to do it. Guys, I'm telling you, I've had some of the most incredible deals, like wildest deals I've ever seen in my life. And they were the easiest sellers I've ever dealt with. They're not all easy, but I'm here to tell you it is the most opportunity, and I want you to take advantage of it. So if you have any concerns about doing probates and stuff, I'm just telling you, it's not complicated. I thought it was super intimidating and scary. I'm here to tell you, just work with your probate team and you go find people in probate, put them under contract, and then help them out. And the more you do, the better it is. And here's the really cool part. If you're working a full-time job or doing it, like this technique you could do, and you could work 2 full-time jobs and do this without missing a beat, because the reality is either you're calling on a tiny little list. And by the way, when I call on a list of like 30, like 20 people in a week, we just simply use a phone. Like, you don't need complicated like Mojo dialers and stuff like that. It's very, very simple. So guys, that is it on probates. Let me take this off of here. And let me get through on some of these questions. And let's see here. There was a couple I wanted to do on that. I asked, how do I join the one-on-one? Just go over to Wholesaling Houses for Real. You'll see today's video link on the top. Click on that. But most likely you have to register and join the group and go through our admins to do there, because we try to get rid of all the spamming. I know you guys enjoy that, because from what I see, we are the only wholesaling community that actually regulates it, meaning the minute you spam, you're gone. End of story. If you do not discuss real estate and you do not provide value, you are out the door. So go over there and check it out. And if you haven't joined, just join there. And I promise you on the next live, we'll get you on there. So let's see here. So somebody asked, what's the best formula for probate? There is no probate. There is no formula. So you guys all looking for like these 70% rules and stuff like that. The only rule like me and Zach give you is if you're going to call them FSBOs on Zillow, you can't even try to do it if you don't get at least 70% of market value. Otherwise, you got no shot. But honestly, probate deals, they're really special. You don't need a formula. You just need a good discount. And honestly, if someone gave you a $10,000 discount of a house to vacant that needs work, and you had someone to buy it, you could potentially capture 10,000, but go for deeper discounts. Go over to freewholesaling.com. We teach you how to go for the no. But I'm telling you, there is no formula. I wish I could just put a math problem on every house. The reality is every seller is unique and different, and you have to cater to each one of them. Now, there are some general rules you can follow, but that's the reality of it. So let's see here. Okay, I think that's all of them. So guys, put your questions when they pop up there. A lot of these questions I've already answered. Let me do Jesus. He says, when we do a probate, do we skip trace the heirs? So what you're looking for in a probate, the person that is deceased, obviously you can't call. So what you're looking for is the PR, which is an acronym for personal representative, or you're looking for the executor, depending on what state and how they determine it. That's the person you're looking to skip trace. The only way to find that information out is if someone files for a probate and they file for a petition, and then they're the named person in that will. I'm not a lawyer, so like don't quote me on some of this stuff, but you're looking for the PR, the executor. Now, for the longest time, I chased the heirs down thinking I could get more information. At the end of the day, it's just a waste of time. It's just my feelings, because you have to. So I've had cases with 20, 25 heirs. They never get along. Like, they're always like, someone wants this price, the other wants this. It's always a nightmare. So the reason of a PR is you're supposed to put the most responsible person that the deceased trust and they're trusting them to handle their final affairs. So normally that's the person you want to be in contact, because by reaching out to the heirs, dude, you get a lot of drama. Like, it's painful and you don't get anywhere, and you actually just wind up pissing off more people than you thought. Um, so let's jump into it. Jason, first in line, man. What's going on, man?
Hey, good evening. How are you doing?
Good, man. I know last time we talked, you had that like crazy deal. You got our information on that, right?
Yeah, I did. I'm still talking to her. That's one of the questions I had to ask along
Well,
with
let's talk about it, because I know, and Jason, if you don't mind, like, we're going to kind of share. We're not going to share address and stuff like that. But by the way, I come up with this stuff all the time. And before we get into it, Jason, I want you guys to understand the crazy thing about wholesaling is we are so used to getting no all day. And you have to be careful, because like when you go through cold calling, you have to be in a different mindset, because when you start out cold calling, your first job is just to disqualify. If I call 10 people, on average, 9 are just a waste of my time. Okay. And so when someone says, yes, I want to talk to you, I can't tell you how many times you guys are like, what? You really want, like, you can't be caught off guard when they do it. And so listen, I just get some basic information, and if they're willing to talk, I go deep with them. But when I'm in cold calling, I don't do cold calling. So I know I'm a hypocrite for saying this, but when the people that I hire and Zach runs to do it, cold calling is a mode. So if you got to get through 300 or 500 calls, you're just trying to get rid of the bad ones. That's your goal when you do it. So the problem is, in wholesaling, sometimes you get people that, you know that old saying, if it sounds too good to be true, then maybe it isn't. We get a lot of that goes in wholesaling. Dude, like, I can't tell you. So guys, I've been doing this 20 years. Like, I've had people try to sell me houses they didn't own. I've had people lie to me. I've had people forge documents. I've had everything humanly possibly happen to me. And sometimes you get this just gut, like deep in your gut. Like, if you know something's not right, you got to do a little bit of investigative work, because some people will just roll over and go, okay. I had a guy 2 weeks ago. He was like, just take the house. And I immediately go in like protection mode, because it's very rare for someone here to just take the keys. There's always now I'm not saying it doesn't happen, because I've had about 10 times in my career where it's actually happened. But I will tell you, I go through a title company. I go through all the traditional searches, because in the back of my mind, I go, I know we're missing something here. I know they're not telling me something. And it's usually some wild story. It's like crazy. Guys, I own like 10 properties I don't even have clear title to. I just know how to control them over the years, and I'll never be able to sell them, but they cash flow like crazy. So just because you can't buy and wholesale a deal, sometimes there are opportunities to take control of the property without having ownership and financially benefit from it. And I learned that during our last market crash. I learned it intimately on how to do it. So with that being said, go ahead, Jason. Tell me what's going on, and we'll give a little bit of the backstory on this one.
Yes, because I knew you guys were very helpful in getting your team engaged in that one. I'm still talking to the seller. We've really built some rapport over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
And I believe what you said. When you find an issue where you're like, I don't know what to do, then that's when that's worth it. So I just want to ask, because you've told me this in the past, is this one that I should just let go of? Because I just did one in December that you told me that, I was too deep in, and I let that one go. Would you say this is one that I should also just?
Well, so here's the problem. Without going into all the details, this seller is basically been accused of a very serious crime. I'm not talking about like anything physical, but basically kind of like an embezzlement, racketeering type of deal. And I'm not talking about a couple $100,000. We're talking about a lot more zeros behind it, significant. And here's the challenge, guys. When you have a seller that is committed a major, major felony. So basically anything that violates the RICO Act, if you don't know what it is, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not here to explain it, but it's basically racketeering, conspiracy, like really bad stuff. Basically anything that's like super fraud, they lose most of their protections that they get under a typical home. So this property is in the state of Florida. A lot of people go, well, OJ moved to Florida, like he's fine. Here's the reality. OJ never got charged with a felony, And then basically he got sued civilly and lost. Because he has a home in Florida with a homestead, they can't go after the asset because it's protected by Florida law. That's why a lot of people move to Florida. A lot of states have that. And a lot of people try to, so a homestead exemption law, if you have them in your state, look them up. They're very powerful. It's almost impossible to, the only exception to it, Jason, is if they violate the RICO Act. And unfortunately, your seller has 100% gone way over the line. And so technically, Jason, she could sell the house right now, but I promise you would have it taken away from you or whoever buys it. And then you're going to get wrapped up in a lawsuit. So I did a property similar to this, different circumstances. It wound up being a forgery of some sort of satisfaction of mortgage. I got sued. And then for 7 years, they pursued me and I had to pay a lot of money with lawyers. And I'm like, man, I regret doing that deal. Now I made like 15 grand on it, but I paid 50 grand in lawyer fees. So I'm just telling you, like, when the federal government's involved and you've pissed them off, just get out of the way. There's nothing you can do. Now, you could technically take control of that house and you could rent it out temporarily. But I promise you, someone's going to come visit you and you're not going to like it. So I've had this, guys, dude, you name it, it's happened to me. I had a rental house. This is crazy story. It's true. I rented it out through a real estate broker in another town. And I opened up the page one day and my wife goes, you better look at the newspaper. This is how old I am. My house is on the front page of the newspaper. They turned it into a grow house. And then I had to pay $10,000 to FP&L to get the power turned back on. I mean, I had every lawyer after me. I'm just like, oh my God, what did I get in the rental business for? So I don't say this to scare you, but like what I'm saying is sometimes if it sounds too good to be true, go ahead and commit the contract. But once you have the contract, go, I got to figure out what you're hiding from me. And I don't think she even hid it from you. I actually missed it when I first talked to you. And so guys, look up the RICO Act if you don't understand it. If you think your clients ever violated that. Yeah. And then on top of it, I believe she stole from like a lawyer's escrow fund. So like if you mix lawyers on top of it, they're waiting for someone to touch that house and they're going to scold them. So you did everything right. She just did something very wrong. And I just don't see how you're ever going to rectify it because she took cash and bought that house. I know there's a mortgage on it. And honestly, between you and me, the people that have that first mortgage position, they're in massive risk too. That's why they're trying to foreclose and get their money out of it. Okay. So I don't think there's any path to it, Jason. I know she's cooperating, but what other options does she have? Like here's the case where you are literally the only option for her. Now, if she wanted to move out and you wanted to live somewhere and give her like $1,000 and live like rent free for 6 months to 12 months, you could probably do that and not get in trouble, but you better have a suitcase packed and ready to go because I believe the authorities are eventually going to seize that house and sell it at auction. And the lawyer's going to go after that money because she stole a lot of money from an escrow fund. And that's wrong. When you steal from an escrow fund, it's like one of the worst things you can possibly do. Yeah. That's a collection of hundreds of other people's monies. Yeah. And so you potentially have 100 people coming at you, plus the federal government, plus some badass lawyers. Dude, don't do it. Don't put your name on any more paperwork on this property because they're going to have a paper trail. Now, if someone decides to deed it in their name, God bless them because it's going to be very, very expensive. Okay. So if you knowingly go into it knowing there's a violation on the property, then you could consider it a co-conspirator. So not an attorney. I would move on. Everything was right, but like in the back of your gut, you're starting to go like, why is she making this so easy? Yeah. And that's what's when you gave me the numbers, I'm like, dude, like I'll drop everything. I'll go write a contract for tomorrow. That's insane. I go, either Jason's freaking amazing or this lady's blind and you did everything right. And you guys, you're going to run across these deals. It's like, it sucks. I have it all the time, man. Like I had someone even a month ago try to sell me a property they didn't own. Deep discount. I'm like, guy goes, give me $10,000 cash. I'm like, dude, I'm not. That's why we don't give cash to sellers, like for this exact reason. So I don't think there's anywhere to go with it, Jason. I want to save time and give you the truth.
And that's what I wanted. So
I was excited about your deal. The reason she's being so cooperative, she has no other alternative.
yeah.
And that if there's too cooperative, write the contract and then step away and go get people. So the minute, honestly, if you wrote did you ever wind up running a contract with her?
No, I was waiting till I could speak to you guys again.
No, you're good. So if you wrote that contract and gave it to your title company, they told you like, get out of it. It's not going to work.
Okay.
I promise you, because now the things earmarked left and right, they're waiting to see. The person who has that first mortgage, they're nervous. They're very nervous, and that's why they're foreclosing. By the way, I know that she probably hasn't made payments, but dude, you did everything right. Don't let it discourage you. It's going to happen. It happens to everyone, or you're not touching enough people. You're going to find people with problems. Sometimes, here's the truth, guys, their problems are too big for either you or me to even fix. But they had a choice. If you want to steal from innocent people, then that's on you. There's nothing I can help. Now, the other part is we have to deal with is the ethical. Like, do I do a deal ethically? I've had a probate once where I've had people admitted they basically killed a loved one so they can move on with their life. And I got a major problem with that. But is it my job to be judge and jury on people? It pisses me off, but I stay out of it. And so I had a case about 2 years ago. I remember Zach brought it to me. Ready for this? Guy wrote me from jail on death row. And it basically involved a child. And I don't need to say anymore. I'm like, I don't want any part to do with it. I just cannot live with a house like that, because I believe that neighbors are probably going to burn the house down the day I buy it. So sometimes it's ethical, but I'm just saying, like, I can't go back and change the past. If someone commits a crime, I'm not going to hide it. But I'm not here to like rat everybody out. That people are weird, man. Like, I'm just telling you, like, people are funny. Weird situations come happening. You have to understand that you have to major in psychology as a wholesaler. You have to be a welfare worker. You have to be extremely empathetic, and you have to be a badass. You know how hard that is to get an all-in-one package? It's freaking crazy. Jason, you're doing everything right. I wouldn't waste any more time with her. I think you've gone above and beyond your call with them, and you've learned a lot. And that's how you build a rapport. Unfortunately, she cannot execute what she wants. Unless she gets out and clear from that case, there's nothing you can do. Okay. So leave the door open. Maybe she winds up winning it, but I highly doubt it. I don't want 100 pissed off people, crazy lawyers coming after me in the federal government for a RICO Act. Do not put your name on anything, because I promise you're going to be sitting on the stand for a long time if you do.
Okay. All right. So yeah, and I appreciate that. Now I'll go back and touch on the probate. I'm glad you're touching on this subject. There's two things I want to mention. You mentioned a team. Apart from the probate lawyer, you know, who else should we be looking to add to our team? And when it comes to the letters, I know you mentioned an average between 4 to 5 touches. Are those? I'm guessing those are different variations of the same letters, or just different methods of reaching out to the same.
So when I say like 6 touches, 5 to 6, that's once you make contact. I don't count anything beforehand.
Okay.
So it's just a longer situation. And here's what I've learned in probate. When I first started probates, I tried to run everybody over. I need a decision now. Like, you're never getting a decision now because you're not in control. And 9 times out of 10, remember the PR, they're not even really paying any bills. Like, they know it's mounting, but like, they're not under that like stress to sell it like this week. So get rid of the stress. And the amount of touches, 5 to 6, is after you or they make contact with you. It doesn't have to do with the mailings or the actual physical phone call. And I don't count the first one because you're reaching out to them if you cold call them.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So probates work. They're just, guys, they're slow. They just take time, man. But once you start it, if you did 2 probates in a year and each one say made 35 grand, that's $70,000. Guys, you're going to work hard for 70,000 in wholesaling. It's just, but like, once you get into it, you might as well get, I call it kind of snail mail. It just works. And like, people like, oh, it's expensive. I go, guys, it's $500. If you can't afford that for the year, then we're going to have a different discussion. I'm telling you, you have to do it every month. And if you're going to do it 1 month, don't do it. Just save yourself the aggravation, because you're going to disappoint yourself. And I'm telling you, it might take you longer than a quarter. That's just the difference.
Yeah,
sometimes I go 2 months without getting a deal, but I always get one by like the 3rd month. But guys, I've been doing it steadily since 2013, 14. I've never stopped. if I started this back in 2003, oh my God, I couldn't imagine what I would have made. Oh, nobody even touched probates back then
Yeah,
as much.
honestly, it's a really it's a very exciting business. I haven't done much apart from the one deal last year, but I really like it. It's super fun. I don't know. It's very addicting to do. Even though I haven't had that much success yet, but I'd love to, give probates a shot. I was kind of scared of it, like you mentioned,
It,
but yeah,
don't, guys, I'm just telling you, don't wait 7 years like I did. It's like, I remember as a wholesaler, your main job, and if you get really good, especially in your first 6 months to a year, you just locate motivated sellers. So probate obviously has the built-in luxury of deferred maintenance and a vacant home. So if you get one, the bells have to go off. And by the way, not every probate seller is easy. Some of them are brutal. Like there are rules to this game. And you're going to have like some people that just don't want you to bother them. They're going to call you ambulance chasers and like, how dare you do this? She just passed away. And I don't give people a hard time on probates. I get it. And you never know what people are going through. Just respect them and say, have a wonderful day and move on. Like, please don't take rejection on probates personally, because put yourself in their shoes on a loved one's. Now, here's a little secret. I recently did a probate. They just filed it. It's 14 years old and they just filed it, I believe, this week. So sometimes probates, people just wait forever to do too. So don't be shocked if it's got like 10 years plus on it. It happens all the time. People don't want to pay the fees.
that's insane.
So,
Okay. Those are all the questions I had for you today. So
okay, bud, just keep going, Jason. Like those, unfortunately, they're going to happen, but like you have to go all the way down the trail to understand. So like if someone, so I used to play nose tackle. I used to actually be a really big guy. So I used to weigh like 240, 250. So in high school, I played nose tackle just like my last year, but I was new to football. I only played football a year and a half. So I didn't have all the training. I was a big, strong guy. But I remember the coach used to say, if they let you through the line and you get no resistance, it's a trap.
it's a trap. It's always a trap.
So when I learned what a pulling guard was, and I got knocked out twice. They hit me so hard. So basically what it means is they let you through on purpose, and then a guy's coming down the line just to take you out. And this what sometimes happens in wholesaling. So if someone just goes, hey, take my property, is 40 cents on the dollar, and say, you got to go sign the contract because it could possibly be true, but odds are you might have an issue. And so just find out, because if it's in your gut, you go, man, but like, honestly, I've screwed up deals because I was very suspect and I missed the deal because I was trying to underwrite the whole thing. So put it under contract, give it to your title company, go, listen, I'm a little bit nervous about this deal. It just seemed too easy. And 9 times out of 10, unfortunately, that's the case. And so what she's going to do after this is call every wholesaler in America.
Yeah.
And they're going to suck up everyone's time.
I spoke to a lawyer, and he mentioned that I could try and find a lawyer that could help him write a motion to encumber the proceeds of the funds rather than the house. So I'm not sure if that's something you've ever done.
It's possible, but I'm just telling you, Jason,
It's going to be
go. But the thing is, they're not going to let you profit till the final outcome of the case, and this could take 10 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
so this case will take a minimum of 5 years. I'm telling you right now. Yeah. I'm wrapped up in a court case right now. We're going on 9 years. So like people, and when it comes to like criminal, it takes forever, like forever. And I'm here to tell you, like, I just, because what ultimately is going to have to happen with that property, because it's a nice house, is it's going to have to sell for the best value possible. And the lawyers are always going to argue, if you buy it at a discount, you owe the difference.
Yeah.
And that's why I just don't think you're going to beat it. You could get away with it temporarily, but like, do you want to look over your shoulder? Like, I've done a couple deals and moved fast, and I wound up in $50,000 legal battles. And I just learned my lesson. Like, if there's a problem, like, tell me legally how to fix it. Otherwise I can't buy it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
I wouldn't even bother with that lawyer thing. You're not going to benefit. You have to wait probably 5 to 10 years to find the outcome before you can even figure out what to do with it. So just let her know if something changes and you can legally sell the house and we can give it to a title company, I'm all in. But you have to get a full bona fide title policy, and that's a property 100% you cannot assign. It's very risky.
Okay.
You would have to do some sort of double closing to protect your interest. because if the property ever comes, if they tell you can sell it and they come back and say, oh, that's wrong, you have a title policy, and the title policy is an insurance policy. So if the deal goes awry, you at least get back the monies that were put in there. And they're very strict about the underwriting on that. So just go find another deal. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, no, definitely. Double closing is not possible right now. But I have to say, with that football line that you mentioned, I'm not sure if you know Anthony Mackie. He was actually he's the black guy in the Avengers movies. But
okay, yeah.
So he was actually a D1 football player, and because of that very same trap that you mentioned, which is when he actually quit football. So,
guys, if you've never been hit by a pulling guard.
Yeah.
And usually the pulling guard is a very big man.
They're very big, yeah.
And what the reason they let you in is because it fakes you and they hit you at full speed and you don't even know what's coming from the left or the right. So what I did is by midseason year, I learned when they went in and there was no resistance, you had to lean into the interior because you knew it was coming. And man, right in the ear hole, it's like, I mean, I got carried off field twice. I'm like, coach, I didn't see it coming. It's like, so I give you this analogy, not because I do like football, but like you guys are in the fight and wholesaling, you don't know it's coming sometimes and you got to watch. There are going to be people that try to take advantage of you out there. That's why you always want the protection of a title company. So worst case, Jason, you write this contract, you get a cash buyer, you get all lined up in the title company. Eventually the title company would have stopped this deal.
Okay.
So I'm telling you, you guys don't have to obsess about it. You're not the judge and jury. And I'm going to say the only thing you ever got to watch for is the RICO Act. When people, if they launder money, they do racketeering, any type of embezzlement, all bets are off. They have no more protection on the house. And that's where people are like, well, OJ got away with it. I go, yeah, but first of all, he never got nailed for a felony. And number two, he got nailed for a civil lawsuit. So in the state of Florida, if you get a $10 million civil lawsuit, and you have homestead protection, they can't touch it. That's why OJ had a $15 million house. He put all his money in the house before it was going. Okay. And there was a huge controversy over it. I'm just like, so it's weird. It's a great analogy because I think back to him. I go, honestly, I had headaches for months after those games. It was just like, it took me years to get rid of it. So guys, when you're going in and you're just, no one's protecting the quarterback, write the contract and get out of there and tell your title company, go, I'm a little suspect. Am I missing something? Okay. And I promise you'll learn something from it. But full disclosure, Jason, I've had people let me through the line in wholesaling and got a monster deal with no strings attached. So don't completely write them off. You'd be surprised.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, man. I'll see you, Jason. That was a fun one, man. Okay. Who am I? Reggie, you there? Reggie. Going once, twice. I'll come back to you.
Hey.
Hold on. Let me take Reggie off here. Hey, who am I speaking with?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. What's your name?
My name is Mir.
Okay, Mir.
An old
I see you're in 3ADZ. I didn't know what that was. So.
I made it when I was like 10.
Okay, it's okay, man. 10.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
Guess, if you had to guess.
Okay, so I will never do this with a lady. So if you ever ask me,
No, I don't mind. Throw any number at me.
Okay. I should really leave this to the audience. Hold on. I got to zoom you in here a little bit. I got to see. Okay, guys, help me out. I would say 24.
21.
Okay, so
that's why I'm a big fan of yours and I'm a big fan of Zach.
Yeah.
I can't believe, I can't imagine how proud you must be of your son. I think he's like 2 years older than me. He's 23, no?
He's 23. Yeah.
Yeah. I aspire to be like maybe 50% of what he's achieved, maybe even just a fraction of what he's achieved. It's amazing. Like, all this.
I told Zach, I go, one day we got to have a behind the scenes on Zach. You guys, I think you know more about me than you do Zach, but like, he's young. He's still. I would tell you guys at 23, I didn't know a damn thing I wanted. Like I didn't have any tools. Like I didn't have guidance from family, parents. I didn't have guidance from school. School actually confused me, labeled me ADHD. And then I went on a 12-year journey. until I found wholesaling. But like, be patient. Eventually everybody finds their journey. Some find it sooner than others. And if you have that gift of clarity to know what you want to do when you're young, it's amazing. For full disclosure, everybody, I didn't figure crap out into my 30s, and it's okay. I've had people figure it out in their 70s. It's numbers, just an age. You always have to learn. You always have to grow, and you always have to listen to people. And the minute you stop any of those things, you're just a bitter old person. It's just the truth, man. And it's up to you what you want in life. And Zach, I had to go and climb that mountain when I had little kids. And I was horrified. I was scared to death because I did the opposite of what everybody else did. And for 5 years, I was publicly shamed. It's ridiculous what you're doing. And sometimes people would even like, is he in like the cartel or something? Because he's always home and like they always have money. I'm just like, no, I just work my ass off. So it's all up to you guys. Like, Zach did the work. And honestly, if you can put 2 years in the wholesaling and really do the actionable steps, your entire life will change. But everyone thinks, oh, Zach was born a silver sooner than I was brutal on him, guys. Honestly, I didn't even want him to do this business. I thought this business was rough. And we all want the best for our kids. And he just came to me one day. He's like, I'm sick. And I used to show him checks on purpose. So I did tease him when he was young. And so when he saw $30,000 checks and then he gets his paycheck at the grocery store, he's like, this is ridiculous. And I taught him, I'm like, you're never like, so I would tell him how many hours do you have to work for this 30,000? He would add up. He's like, this is crazy. And that's what got his mind spinning. So if you guys are ever dealing with kids and you want to like open their mind, is start doing an evaluation of how many hours they got to work to buy something. And they'll look at like stuff completely different. So he just caught on, but like, so you guys know, I taught the same principles to my daughter. She's just not on this channel, but she understands. She went the medical route and she loves what she does. And she's going to make a ton of money in what she does. Like but I believe you should let your kids find their own journey. And I didn't shove it down Zach's mouth. Like I had him read a couple books. He's like, how can I make it? And then right off the bat, he had like some really early success. But I'm here to tell you guys, he was out putting bandit signs all in the middle of the night, answering phone calls. And he would get a lead and I would help him out with the lead. And then eventually he took over the leads. And then he became my acquisitions manager for 4.5 years. Like, he did everything. And I never made so much money in my life. And I'm like, dude, we have bigger and better things for you. And so he now teaches everybody, and it's been really nice full circle. Because guys, for 7 years, I did the business all by myself. My wife helped me out, but so if it's taken you a long time, don't freak out about it, because it only matters you cross the finish line. It doesn't matter how fast you get there. And I find if people treat wholesaling like a marathon as opposed to a sprint, you'll make better decisions in your life. So go on, man. Sorry about that.
No worries. I enjoyed that little speech. I'm actually calling about, I have a property under contract. I've been watching so many of your videos. I know you're preaching vacant lots these days, especially like if I'm starting out. I've actually been consuming wholesaling for like 2 years, but I haven't really like committing to it, because every single time that I pick up the phone, I'm good with people. I call, I speak. Like my first ever call, like I started like spewing out real estate lingo as if like I'm a pro. I just put on this persona as if like I'm a pro. But long story short, I basically get intimidated from the legal aspect, so that's why sometimes I stopped. But fast forward till today, I just signed my vacant lot under contract. But
awesome.
One thing about that, it's on market. It's not off market.
Okay.
I don't know if that's. I know you guys keep saying, oh, off market is more
valuable. Off market. So you know the argument. Off market, you're typically going to get a better deal and have less obstacles, and they're harder to find up front. The on market is the opposite. It's much easier up front, but the back end's a lot more lifting work because people can see, what it was listed for and stuff like that. So listen, if you want to do the on market thing, I just tell you up front, it's just more of a challenge. Doesn't mean you can't do it. You can do anything. Like, I've taken full on retail MLS stuff and made money. But the only way I do that, so you guys understand, is I already have a buyer and I know exactly what they want. And you're like, well, you're kind of playing a realtor. I'm like, I'm not paying a realtor, because they look at the property once and then I get my fee. And like, so I don't go through any of the drama. But if I have a database of people that I know exactly what they want, and when I see a property pop up, I go, I know that guy would go crazy for this. And then I can usually get a little bit of a discount, work my way into it. And That's it. It happens all the time, guys. Some people are like, oh, you're so anti on market. I'm just telling you, I'll make a heck of a lot more on an off market because it's all private data. It's harder up front. It's easier on the back end. And when you do on market, it's easier up front and it's harder on the back end. So if you're okay with that and you know what you're getting into, then knock it out of the park. I don't care.
Yeah, that's the thing, but I'm not sure if it's like, I feel like I have a ticking time bomb on my hands. You know, I don't know if it's gonna sell. It was listed for 125, and I got it down to 87. But I'm seeing your videos, and you're like, oh, you should get it 10 cents on the dollar. So I'm like, what? What am I gonna do with this now?
I think that's taken out of context to a point. There's very few things you get 10 cents per dollar, but here's where you might have a little bit of a challenge. A lot of you guys think you're getting discounts. So I'm talking about an on-market deal, and this is the challenge. Somebody lists a property for 125,000, and you go, "Oh my god!" And then you get them down to like 87, whatever you said. The number, you go, "Oh my god, I got an awesome deal." You have no idea what kind of deal you have because you got to see what the market's going to.
Yeah, I wanted to follow up with something.
So that's the challenge. Is so many of you guys focus on the offer price and what you get discounted. What if they just had like crazy retail number on there? And that's what you have to understand. You really, on markets, you really got to figure out valuations very sharply because what they list it for and what you get it for. And if you count that as your discount, you're misleading yourself and you're not being honest. And I think that's a little bit of your struggle. So you already have it under contract. How long's your inspection period?
30 days.
So you better get to work and just see what the market's going to dictate for you. That's all you can do.
There's a lot right next to it, like right next to it. It's even smaller than it. That sold for 1.5.
How much?
115.
Okay, then just get to work on your cash buyers list, and that's it. I'm just telling you, I want you to understand what people list stuff for and what you get a contract on market. Just because you get like a 20, 25% discount off the bat doesn't mean the market's like you have a discounted market price. And if you understand that, that's where most people screw up on all market stuff. Well, the realtor listed it for $499. I'm getting it for $440. I'm like, what's the market value? I don't like, you have to look at market values over what people list stuff for, and especially on anything on like a FSBO, because a lot of FSBO people they put a ridiculous price. Like this is my, I'll sell it for any price. If I get this price, I'll sell it. And I don't deal with sellers like that at all. So get out there. And how long have you had it under contract for?
I just signed it yesterday. Oh, yesterday, yeah.
All right, dude. So I mean, I give you an air horn or stuff like that, but like I don't do that stuff. Like you got to just go finish and do the work, and then I want you to call back in and let me know the outcome of it. But just, you're right. You're in the right footsteps. Just keep going forward and find out sooner than later in case you have to get some sort of discount or something like that. So just go crazy. You said earlier, like some of the legal terminology scared you in wholesaling. What are you talking about?
Like I was intimidated by signing a contract. That alone intimidated the hell out of me. Like I'm 19. I'm an immigrant. You know, back then I was 19. I picked up the phone when I was 19. I spoke to some realtors, especially the realtors. Like they're really experienced. They drop all this jargon and I don't understand any of it. So I was really intimidated. I stopped. And then when I saw the contract, I was even more intimidated. I was like, no way I'm signing this. Yeah. And I didn't do anything, you know. I actually bought a course for $1,000.
What kind of course was that?
I would love to give you access to it. It was a wholesaling course if you want to look at it. And I know you guys are big on like evaluating gurus and.
So is it a wholesaling course or a on more?
Yeah, wholesaling.
I'm not like I already. Well, you give me your opinion. Don't give me the name of it. But was it worth the grand? Did it help you?
It helped me, but this guy's like he runs Section 8, which I really like. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Unfortunately, I do own some Section 8s, but it's like I pretty much stopped them because we have problems in our county with funding on them now. They're actually all you can't even get them anymore unless you're qualified. So it's listen, not everyone's course is bad out there. I'm here to tell you, but like for the most part, you guys have to go out there and do the work. Am I right? Like it doesn't matter who you hire. At some point, you got to make the phone calls, send the letters, make all the follow-ups. And if you understand that, like there is no shortcut to that. And most of the guru information it has a purpose. It's to take money out of your pocket and put it in theirs. Why do they have a 95% failure ratio? It's ridiculous. So the way we do it, we just reverse engineer it. So if I only have 5 or 10% of the people want to hit it out of the park here, then I feel like I'm doing the right thing because I'm not. Guys, I know if me and Zach launched a course, it would probably be the biggest wholesaling course out there. You ever wonder, like, are they punking me or like what's their? So you know what every guru asks me off the record? You know what their biggest question is to me? Because I'm friends with most of them. I grew up with them doing wholesaling. What's your end game? I go, I don't know what you're talking about. They go, well, you got to stop this at some point. I go, we ain't stopping, dude. Like, we're just going to keep doing it. So we have such a massive presence in the wholesaling space that most people just want to work with us organically. I don't run one ad, not one ad. I don't fill any of your feeds up with crap because I don't need to. Like, I don't listen, people can do whatever they want. My long game really is to show you I'm in this business for the long run. And by me giving you guys free information, I'm building your trust up naturally, how people build their trust up. And I help you out when you're in a pinch. And then when I offer something like, hey, you want to partner with me, I'm never taking your money. We just make money together. And then, yes, I have affiliate links on products I've used for years in my business. And if you guys get help with you, I give you training. It doesn't really cost you any money. Because I'm here to tell you guys to run what me and Zach do. It does cost a lot of money to do this. Like, you guys don't understand behind the scenes. I got a bill today that I almost like fell out of my chair on. It costs money to do what we do. I make plenty of money wholesaling. Like, I don't care. I love what I do. So I've been playing this game 3 years plus. I was told I wouldn't make it 6 months. I wouldn't make it 3 months. And now I got everybody trying to figure out what we do. Here's what we do, just for every guru watching. We just tell you how to do wholesaling, cut through the crap, and show you how to get your first deal and get you your first 100 grand. Why don't you do the same? That's it. That's my public announcement. So it's I love what you're doing. Just keep going. And honestly, the sooner you're in the uncomfortable phase, stay there and keep going there, because uncomfortable become comfortable and you'll have to keep pushing it up.
I just have 2 mini questions.
Let's go.
On sellmypaper.com, do you guys do on market? On market report?
Honestly, no.
Right.
It just creates. I don't need realtors calling and yelling at me. So if you've done business with me before and you have like a special deal, I'll hear it out. But like, I just, so I can be clear on it, it most likely is not going to work unless you have some sort of intimate knowledge, like you're in that neighborhood or something like that, and the realtor just flat out priced it wrong. I'm just being brutally honest with you because I don't want to waste your time.
And then I'm in Canada right now. Like, I'm not even like, my market is in North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
And like, how does that affect anything? Like, when they see my phone and it's a Canadian number, they're like, who even is this? Like, why are you even calling me?
Well, listen, I'm not going to like tell you. So do you reside in Canada?
Yeah.
Are you a citizen of Canada?
No, I'm an international student.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once again, you need to connect with your local title company to understand how funds would be distributed, just to make sure you're covered, because they got all sorts of crazy rules in the United States. Number 2, you can get a virtual number from anywhere. And you can use the combo of a VPN. That basically just, that can disguise like where you're calling from, or like what type of email or anything from your computer. And it's easy, dude. Like, just you got to get rid of your international number because it is going to screw you up.
It's because I want to get the probate list, the water shutoffs and everything else, but like, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to because I'm not a U.S. citizen, right?
That's an internal rule in your head. Nobody knows where you're calling from when you go to get those lists. So obviously they're easier to get in person, but here's what I would do. I would get a virtual number in the United States, so it looks like you're calling from the United States. And if North Carolina is your market, pick the area code where you do your marketing, and you'll get less resistance. It's cheap, dude. It's like $10-20 to get that number per month.
Yeah, I'll do it. Definitely.
But do it, because honestly, if you call me from a Canada number, I'm like, oh crap, here it comes. Like,
okay.
I get weird international calls all the time. I don't touch them because it like, I mean, I do know people internationally, but like, it's I don't know. It's so easy to call people. Like, area codes aren't as big of a thing as they are anymore, but like international, yeah, I would probably avoid your phone calls. So I think that's going to help you out. So try Vumber. I think they got one for $10. Very, very simple. And you can use an app on your phone. CallRail's a little bit more sophisticated. There's CallFire. Honestly, if you just need like one number, keep it under $20. You don't need all that other crap with it.
Okay.
And by the way, you can also check out Google Voice. I know it's more challenging now, but I kept some of my old Google Voice phone numbers and they work very well.
And
And that's free.
perfect. And are you guys live tomorrow? Like I'm trying to be on.
So Saturday's the only day we take off.
Okay. I'm trying to I'm gonna drive you guys crazy, you and Zach, okay? On your lives.
Well, listen, you drive me crazy, but ask questions of quality, and I'm much more excited to do the conversation. I'm not here to like babysit people because I want to. Because listen, I'm doing this for free, and you guys are donating your time, so there has to be a trade of value here. So what we like to do is help out with people with information. When people get on here, it's like, I don't even know what I'm going to ask you. Like, I appreciate it, but like,
Yeah.
but the worst thing you do is call on here and bitch. Like, I know I'm not supposed to say that.
Yeah.
Sorry, but.
No worries.
I can't, like, if you have a victim mentality, the last person you ever want to do is talk to me. And I promise you don't want to talk to my son because we just take extreme ownership for everything. Like it's just, and the minute you do that in wholesaling, your life will change. I'm in a saturated market. Oh my God, the prices are too high. Oh my God, I got no money for marketing. It's like, dude, I have people on these streams all the time. I don't have a dime to their name, cashing checks left and right. So you either can come up with an excuse or you can make an action. If you want to get results and get action and like work on a problem, this is my favorite place to do it. My favorite thing is when people call me with a deal and I can help walk through them. And either sometimes I talk them out of the deal too, because it just doesn't work. Everybody learns, including myself. So as long as you call with productive stuff, I will always take your call.
Can I send you my deal behind the scenes?
Yeah. So which one are you talking about?
The lot that I have under contract.
Yeah, send it to support at Flip with Rick, and then put lot deal in all caps.
Perfect.
And so and I'll look at it before the other day. Like, don't kill me on it because I know my
Take your
my
time.
employee's gonna be like,
Yeah.
is it on market? They're gonna disqualify. So if you sit it to sell my paper, it'll automatically get most likely rejected. So send it there, and I'll take a look at it.
So just the address, right?
What's
Or
that?
Or the address. What do you want?
Support at flipwithrick.com.
Yeah, just the address. I'm saying.
Just put any information in there with it. Just put in there lot deal in all caps, and I'll know who it is. And just put your contact information on the bottom, and I'll communicate with you. I'll see what I can do.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank
Okay,
you.
bud. See ya. Okay. Let's see. We got plenty of time here. Let's who did I miss here? Planet, you there?
Rick, how are you?
Good, man. How are you?
I am great, thank you.
What's going on?
Man, I have I got a call yesterday from my vending signs. This gentleman, he called me about his girlfriend. She wants to sell her house that she bought in 2018, I believe.
Okay.
And we going back and forth with the price. She owes some money. She's not telling me. I'm talking with him, not with her. And she's owing some money, but they're not telling me how much they owe. And I'm trying to come up with a price on the house, which on the same neighborhood, the same street, there are a few comps, but they're like a difference of 50, 60, 70 grand.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I was wondering if I cannot come up on a cash deal with this. Maybe I can do like a sub to. What's your opinion on this property that I have?
So what state we talking about here?
This is St. Louis, Missouri.
So here's what I do. Like for time's sake, I stopped comping properties because it's not my highest and best skill set. So what do you think the ARV is on it roughly? Roughly.
Maybe 200, 220 if I push it. But again, I see like price per square foot. I can see like $100 per square foot on one sold comp, and then I can see another one at 160, and then there's another one at 200.
So let's work this way. So remember, the idea of getting a comp is just kind of get a ballpark and then focus on the seller, because you can. If the purpose of getting a comp is to guess the exact sales price, you will drive yourself nuts. You can do it 1,000 different ways. I've had stuff sell for 50, 60 grand more. I've had stuff sell for 40, 50 grand below. I just understand we are guessing to a point.
Right.
Okay. Now we're never guessing on making a profit though. So it's some inherent risk. So let's focus on the conversation you have with the seller. You basically asked her what she needed to get for the property, and the response was,
Well, I kind of messed it up whenever he called me because I haven't got my first deal yet. And
Mhm.
I think I messed it up because he told me that she wants to get out of the house. And I was like, it depends how much the house is worth and then how much she owes. And then if there's room, we could probably put some money on her pocket. So now they're not giving me whatever they owe. And then they're looking for me to give them a price. So now they're coming back to me. They're telling me that if I give them 170, they can get out of the house, but the house needs just touch-ups like paint and
I got it. So let's talk about this. So here's the strategy you would have done when they sit there and they won't give a price and you're back and forth. You try the volley method.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know how to do it. Go to freewholesaling.com.
Yeah.
So this is where, this is your open shot. Just try to build enough of a rapport in a conversation where they're not going to hang up on you. So you're doing this over the phone, right?
I am. Yeah. Mostly text because both of them are working. Like I said, I'm talking to the.
I got it. So when they do that, that's the easiest way to put in a go for no offer because it's going to get rejected and at least you can get a counter because most people try to make their first offer and you want to get a yes. And I'm here to tell you want to do it the opposite way. Just listen, would you take 100 for the house? You're going to get rejected. If they say yes, you're going to be even more excited. Most likely they're going to react how they react to you is going to help you dictate their motivation. So most of the time they go, there's no way because I owe like 165,000 on it. And then the previous sentence before they told you they didn't know what they own on it.
Yeah.
So understanding some sellers are playing poker with you. And unfortunately, that's the game that the whole real estate agent thing has set up. So now they've come back with a price. So now what you have to do is you got to do some facts. So do you know how to look up to see how much they owe on a mortgage?
So I don't know, but I have batch leads. I signed up to you guys, and then I have paid for another month. And
so you go in there, they'll give you an estimate of what they owed. But one of the old school ways, before we had all these great softwares, you can go into the official records for that county. You can look it up under their last name, and most likely they're going to have a mortgage recorded. It's going to give you the date it was recorded, and it'll give you the amount. Now, after that, you just got to guess the interest rate because that's on the note and that's private. And then I assume it's 30 years term. And all you have to do is plug that into any Google search for an amortization schedule. And then, so if they're 10 years in the mortgage, unless they refinance the house or something, it'll tell you what the approximate balance is pretty much within $1,000.
Right.
So stop guessing and just go figure out what the number is. Because they're most likely bluffing you because you don't know. So find out what it is. So if they owed 150 and she says she needs a few bucks in her pocket, that leaves you room to make an offer at 152, 155. You kind of know what you're playing with. So if 150 has to go to the bank and she wants to walk away. So a lot of times I go, what if you could walk away with $5,000? And then sometimes you can make an offer without even spitting a number out. But find out what they owe on it because you're kind of stuck down that rabbit hole. And then just reverse engineer it from there.
Right.
And then if you want, this is an option for you. If you want to even work with us, if you want, I can get one of my partners to get on the phone and help you with a three-way if you want to agree to do a JV. But that's completely, you don't have to do it. I'm just telling you, you're almost there.
This is my first deal. And if we can make this work,
Okay. So I want you to do the same thing to me. Support at Flip with Rick.
Okay.
And then put your name in all caps in there. So, and then put it in there and leave me your contact information.
Okay.
And so sometimes guys, we can help you before you get in the contract. I just need people with motivation though. If they're complete retailers and let's not waste each other's time. Yeah. But if there's motivation, somebody like me or Zach at a higher level could talk them. And then what we do is we work with our local partners to find a cash buyer to make it work for everyone. So I let everybody share in the profit. Here's the best part is you get paid the most out of it.
Right.
So I've set up sellmypaper.com where you guys get the biggest benefit. Plus you get there on 50% of the deal and learn. Yeah. It is, to me, the best way to do learn wholesaling. So if you want to do that, if not, if you decide to go the other route, which you're close to it, you just got to find out what they owe on it, and just once they know what's owed on it, the game kind of ends. It's like, okay,
Right.
okay, because if they owe 110, they have a. So listen, the less they owe, the more room you have to play with it. But the more they owe, it's like,
Yeah.
okay.
On the batch list, I see that it's like 158, and that's why I think that's why they told me that they can get 170, and then they can get out of it.
Okay. So
I'm assuming
is the house in good shape?
it's in pretty good shape. So there are some pictures in there too, and I saw
So
them.
let me ask you this, Planner. Are they moving out of the house, or like what are they doing?
Yeah, so she has her kids with her. She's, I think, 51 years old, and then she's moving with her boyfriend.
Yeah.
She's waiting till June so the kids can get out of the house, just leave the house. I said we can definitely work with that. We can put the house on the contract and then rent you out on the house, and then whenever the time is to come out, we will work a deal.
Yeah, because like even if I can't get a wholesale deal to work, you could have a good opportunity for subject to, but we'll need a little bit more information.
And I had a few questions if you have time. I'm not going to take too long, but
okay, let's go.
So can I assign a subject to deal if I put it on?
Yes, but you have to be responsible for it. You can't do it haphazardly. So the problem with creative financing is being taught like all over the country. Like I don't have a problem with it. I will tell you, creative financing takes some time to fully understand the concepts. I'm telling you guys right now, you can seek out creative financing deals. The problem is structuring them. And guys, it took me years before I could confidently like figure it out. And I got killed. So guys, keep in mind, I went out and got like 15 houses under like subject to right before the market crashed. I got my butt kicked because people tell you can't lose in creative finance. You can. I'm just like, because most people in creative financing kick the can to the end of the road. I like to make money from day one on creative financing. If I can't make money from day one, unless it's a really unique, specific property, I'm just not interested because rents change all the time. People's minds change, markets change. And at the end of the day, if you take on a subject to, you are responsible for that mortgage. And if you assign it to another person and they don't take the right responsibility, you could be liable for it. So they're trying all sorts of statutes for people to avoid that. There are techniques you can do to avoid that using like a third party to make sure the bill always gets paid. So yes, you can assign it, but you have to be ethical about it. And there's a lot of people that aren't. They just sign it and people will take it over and stop making payments on it. So the responsible way is take it over and make sure who's ever taking it over, if you decide to go that route, they understand they're on the hook and they are 100% responsible, and you have them sign every disclosure in the world. Because if it doesn't get paid, it comes back to the original seller, which is who are they going to call when it goes bad? They're not going to call the person you said, they're going to call you. And that's what I want you to avoid on that. So guys, get some help when you do some creative financing deals. Not all creative finance, just because they want to do it doesn't always mean it's a good deal. There's this terrible marketing going out there. Like every creative financing deal is a home run. Guys, I've done deals where I've left as little as $3,000 and I had to completely give back the property and unwind it. So I did this in Port St. Lucie in 2000. For 3 years, I accumulated a bunch of them. And then what happened? Rents rolled back 70%. Nobody told me this could happen. My insurance, they became uninsurable because we couldn't get insurance because of the amount of hurricanes we're getting. And my property taxes tripled. Nobody told me this in the creative financing course. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then I got a point where I couldn't even afford to make the payments anymore because the rent didn't even cover it. And I sat down with the lawyer. He goes, you're going to have to meet with these sellers and just give them their house back. I'm like, I learned the hard way. I just thought forever I'm going to cash flow and it's going to work out well. And guys, I didn't put up a lot of money up front, and they went. Port St. Lucie for 8 years was in complete turmoil. It was bad. And I learned the hard way is if you don't plan for worst case scenarios, you're going to get schooled on them eventually. Creative financing, because they're so long and drawn out, if there is a hiccup in the real estate economy, they can be challenging. And if you don't have reserves, so guys, back then I didn't have a lot of money. So I had 15 houses. And when people started moving out and bills started doubling and tripling and the rent got cut in like half, 70%, that's how I got in trouble. It didn't take much. And I thought having 30, 40 grand was like, oh boy, I smoked through that money in like 4 months, like quickly. And I got in trouble. Now I'm in a whole different position. I'm just telling you, when you do create a finance, you have to be responsible. If you don't understand it, work with someone that will help you create, because you have to protect the seller, you have to protect yourself, and you have to bring whoever you bring into the party. And a lot of people just want to cut and run. I don't buy seller financing from people that don't understand how to do it, because most of people don't do the paperwork right. It's not responsible for me just to give out free paperwork and all this other stuff. And honestly, even if you pay for the paperwork, every state's so unique, every county's so different. You better be consulting with a local real estate lawyer. I don't care what guru documents you get. There's still inherent risk in creative finance. You have to understand what you're doing. And by the way, guys, anyone who's done a loan mod and they want to do creative financing, you better run it by a lawyer, because most likely you're going to violate the terms of the mortgage and you're going to be at risk of being foreclosed on or calling the note due.
Makes sense.
But it's an option.
Yeah.
What else you got?
One more thing.
Yeah.
If I put a note, like if I add a line on the, let's say if I go through sub 2, if I put a line in there, which, it lets me work on the house, like paint it, change, remodel bathroom and all that stuff. Is that doable?
Say it again one more time. I only got half that.
Yeah, if the seller agrees, so I can work on the house in the meantime, that I am, I have it on sub 2.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way where I can work in the house? Is it something that stays on the sub 2?
All right. Well, listen, so a lot of people complicate sub 2. Mm-hmm. And once again, this isn't something I can teach in 5 minutes over this, but a sub 2, all you are is taking over their mortgage, just like you do an assignment of contract. You do the paperwork for you, take it over. It's up to your legal team on how you want to title it. But subject 2s, the inherent risk is it's hard to get title insurance on them. Mm-hmm. And I know that people, I have a special title. You go to a traditional title company, you can't close most of these in a traditional title company. I guarantee you in Florida, they run to the hills. You have to use like a national company. So because they can't insure the title because there's an encumbrance lien on it. So now you can find a title company that will write it out, but they don't like doing that because they feel like it's like risky. And title companies don't want to be involved in a lawsuit or a claim. So most subject 2s can be done with a notary and like a tabletop closing. Like I go to my seller's house to do most subject 2s. Gotcha. And depending on the amount of risk and money, if I have a lawyer involved, but like I rarely use a title company because they all tell me the same thing. Now, there are states where it's much more prolific, but I'm here to tell you, when you like do that deal with them, like you're there right there. But you can write anything you want. Long as remember, the verbal agreement you have with the seller is more important than what you have in writing. And I know that sounds like reverse, but whatever you verbally agree to them, they're going to hold you accountable for. Mm-hmm. People try to get out of crap through like written agreements. And I wish we were in a society where you could shake people's hand and trust what they do, but unfortunately we're not. So yeah, I mean, if you know the inherent risk and you're 100% solid in the deal, then go for it. But just make sure you're committed to that deal, because once you start working on it, you're all in, and there's no backing out of it.
And I can get in trouble with the sub 2, right? If I don't do it right.
Yeah, they're not as complicated as you think. I'm just like, here's the reality on a subject 2 is as long as there isn't a loan mod or a recent FHA. Mm-hmm. By the way, FHA has a million rules written in it. The homeowner is supposed to reside in the house for like at least 2 years plus.
Okay.
So if someone just did an FHA and you try to do subject 2, you could be at risk. And once again, these laws are always like being updated. I don't keep up with them. So I have to have a legal expert on it. But the reality is subject 2, they're pretty simple. All you are is paying their mortgage payment for them, period. Like it's not complicated. So get their mortgage, verify the information, and all you do is take over the payments, because the reality is the bank wants their money regardless. And honestly, they don't give a crap who calls. People always worried about due on sale calls. It rarely happens. So subject 2 in theory is like really easy, but the paperwork does get a little complicated. So if you want some help with it and it winds up being that type of deal, we can help you out with that. But
I'll give you guys the information right now.
Okay. Send that email over, man.
Appreciate you, Rick.
I appreciate it, man. So guys, make sure. So you guys got the sellmypaper.com. Do me a favor. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure give me a couple more likes. If you like the material, We are off on Saturdays, guys. We only take one break, and Zach will be back on Sunday. I'm on Monday. And for everybody I missed on this live stream, if you come on Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern, like I run out of people to talk to. So visit me on my YouTube channel, Rick Ginn. My son has one also, Zach Ginn. Check us out there. Guys, I really appreciate you. Go out and get some deals. This business is simple.